we love having Bobby Slowik back with this team. So much continuity here in year 2, and the coaching staff being the big thing here. Bobby Slowik, Gerard Johnson, both back to work with C.J. Stroud in year 2. What's the dialogue like now, Bobby, with you and C.J. heading into year 2?
You know, he had a lot of input last year as well. It's more what he's comfortable suggesting. And, you know, when we have dialogue, I said last year, we get to the answer a lot faster. There could be weeks where there's more dialogue because he has more thoughts. There could be weeks where we're already on the same page because of what we went through last year, and there's not a lot of dialogue needed. But that really won't change.
I think that part, the dialogue, and how, you know, they don't have to have as much dialogue because they're starting to build a bank of shared memories and, you know, understanding of what the other needs and how the other phrases things. But I always think back to Drew Brees once talking about just building up so much time in a system and with the same coach where you can immediately reference back to, you see something in a game and you're both like, oh, yeah, remember 4 years ago when the Broncos tried this against us or whatever, and it's immediate like that. That's both the blessing and the curse right now of the relationship between C.J. Stroud and Bobby Slowik. It's that, yeah, these two are forming that little black book of shared experiences. And yet, at some point, Bobby Slowik's probably going to get a head coach opportunity.
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. Okay, we'll hear more from Slowik in a second. I'm curious your take on this. I was driving around yesterday. I was driving back from NRG Stadium. I had to go to NRG Stadium to get my headshot taken for my media credential this year. And I'm driving back, and it's about 2:30, and I'm listening to The Drive with Stoerner and Hughley. And, Clint, if you're listening, I hope I'm not butchering this. I was hoping this would be one of the clips that was in their show email. But Clint said that he thought Bobby Slowik being back for year 2 with CJ, Seth, and the continuity and the fact that they don't need to, you know, learn any new terminology or create new chemistry with a new offensive coordinator, Clint thought that was more beneficial than any of the individual acquisitions that they made on the offensive side of the ball. Like, that was bigger than bringing Diggs in. That was bigger than bringing Mixon in. That retaining Bobby Slowik for CJ was bigger than either of those things.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, I wouldn't argue too hard against that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like ultimately, you know, you're never going to be able to figure that out.
Sure.
But as far as, and especially I think for the long-term growth of the team and C.J. Stroud, you want to get it to the point by the time Bobby Slowik leaves, C.J. Stroud knows the offense and all the little nuances like the back of his hand, because they're going to be able to find a coordinator replacement for Bobby Slowik, either from within or from outside the team, that knows the Kubiak-Shanahan system. And really, it's the Shanahan philosophy more so than anything. That knows the terminology, the concepts really well, because it's pervasive around the league right now. So you just want to be able to have CJ at such a point that he's expert level on the mental part of it, and that he can get a good working relationship with somebody. And it might very well be Gerard Johnson. It could be Bill Lazor. Maybe it ends up being Ben McDaniels. There are multiple offensive minds on this staff right now that I think could probably seamlessly step into that offensive coordinator role. And it just becomes a whole lot easier and manageable, and it makes a lot more sense when CJ could basically be, like, I don't want to say he could be the offensive coordinator, but you know what I mean. Like, he's got that level of awareness and understanding.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that CJ should be the player
coach is what I just heard. I just heard Seth Payne had a hot take that CJ should be player coordinator. That's what I heard.
Yes.
Bobby Slowik, how big is year 2 for a young quarterback like C.J. Stroud?
I think the biggest thing going into year 2 for C.J. is really year 2 for a quarterback is a big year. It's a really, really impactful year to me that kind of sets the trajectory for the rest of his career. And I think a lot of that has to do with you get a chance to hammer the fundamentals. Like last year, there's a lot going on. You got to hit fundamentals, you got to hit verbiage, you got to hit play calls, you got to hit protections, you got to hit all this stuff. And you hit fundamentals to a degree, but you can only do so much. Now we really get to dive into the fundamentals of this is what we do and how we play and what makes him great, and really fit that and grow that within our offense. So that really, to me, is what's been just through phase 2 and OTA so far. I mean, he's on board and all in, and he's picking up right where he left off, for sure.
Sean, like to go back to our youth when you were playing Mario Brothers or something. I haven't played video games in forever, kids, so I'm sorry. I don't have a good modern explanation for it, but it really is. It's honestly like going through a video game where, okay, let's say there's 10 levels in the video game, and it's a battle. To get yourself to finally slay the dragon, it is a battle, and it takes a lot of mistakes and a lot of attempts and everything. But after you do it a few times, all of a sudden levels 1 through 7 are just boring because you're so good at it, because it's just drill work. Yeah. And it really is. It's no different than a video game when it comes to the mental side of playing football, or just and the physical side, just the reactions. Just they have to get so grooved in that it's automatic. CJ's now at that point where you can work on the little nuances because all of the basics, you can drill those into being automatic.
Yep.
And that's where the real growth takes place. And it's a race. I know when people talk about the rookie quarterback window, I think sometimes they get too fixated, the rookie quarterback contract window. I think they get a little too fixated on thinking like, well, yeah, this is your chance to win a Super Bowl. Well, that rookie quarterback is still on his rookie deal. Yes, there is that chance. It's very rare that a guy wins a Super Bowl on his rookie contract.
Oh, yeah.
It's more for me, it's that in those first few years, you can bring in Stephon Diggs and pay some of these guys like that to create an environment where you can have success while also drilling in all these fundamentals. So that by the time you're out of that rookie quarterback contract window, I don't care whether you won a Super Bowl or not, it was worth spending because it helped you get your quarterback to that spot where all of a sudden, okay, you can get by with inadequate receivers.
Development.
You can get by, you can spend more on defense because your quarterback brings so much to the table.
That's really interesting. Yeah, the goal is to win a Super Bowl, but it's almost like you're creating a farm system for your quarterback, right? Like you're creating a miniature developmental league for your quarterback, and it's called the roster of your team.
Well, I guess no. It's more. It's more so. I think that you create a fertile environment for your quarterback.
Yeah.
To where he can do all these things that Bobby Slowik is talking about, while also still having success. But the goal, yes, the goal is to win a Super Bowl. But really, for me, the rookie quarterback contract window is you've got 3 or 4 years where he becomes a true professional quarterback.
Yeah.
Where all of those things that you see the true masters of their craft do, you want to get him to that point right around the time where your ability to spend goes down because you've paid your quarterback.
Yeah, creating that environment. I like that. I'm just glad we don't have to worry about this, man. Like, I see these articles. There was an article I saw, like, what week are each of the 6 first-round rookie quarterbacks going to make their first start? And I'm like, I don't need to click on this article. The only reason I need to click on this article is because the Texans play 3 of these guys in the first 6 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there was an article yesterday, 2025 draft class for quarterbacks into tiers. We put them into tiers, and I'm like, don't really care. I care. The only one I care about is Riley Leonard because he plays for Notre Dame. That's it. Like, I don't have to go there now and go, okay, what are we rooting for this year? Are we rooting to get into position to get one of these guys, or what?
What small victories can I focus on in this? Yeah.
And it's just, and then there's another article that I saw, and I've had this thing in the rundown for a week, but I think it's worth touching on because it's one, it makes you feel yet another brick in the wall that makes you feel great about C.J. Stroud. But this backs up something that you've been saying really since draft season this year, probably longer than that, but certainly in the last couple of months, I've heard you say it a few times, which is these teams are just taking wild flyers on quarterbacks now that wouldn't normally have been taken in the first round. And Sando has an article that I think it was last week, he had this in here, about how very low the hit rate has been on first-round quarterbacks, like very low. Like the Texans are so fortunate. The Texans are fortunate to have drafted Deshaun Watson and got that one right until it was wrong. And then now gotten C.J. Stroud, which looks like they got right even more than the Deshaun Watson one. And this was the one that made me think, yes, this backs up what Seth was saying. In the average draft slot over the last 30 years in the first round for the 6th quarterback taken was 116th.
Fourth rounder.
No. It was the 6th quarterback in any given draft wasn't taken until the 116th overall pick on average.
Which is a 4th round pick.
Oh, I thought you said first-round pick. Sorry.
No.
I misheard you. Which is a 4th-round pick. Bo Nix was taken with the 12th pick overall. He was the 6th quarterback taken.
And the most annoying part about all that is that you've got these jamokes like Kenny Pickett getting disgruntled that he's not being treated like a star. Right. Because you're a fourth rounder. Yeah. Like, you really, if you're any other position based on your skill level and expectations, you would have been taken in the third or fourth round. Yep. Get over yourself.
Yep.
It's annoying.
Yep.
But you're right. Yeah, like, teams are so desperate for quarterback because it's such an important position that they're willing to take a risk on. They'll spend a first rounder on a guy that they don't actually feel all that great about. And because hey, sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. So, yeah, the fact that the Texans don't have to worry about entering that lottery anytime soon feels really, really good. To go back to what you talked about where with some of these other teams and their rookie quarterbacks when they might start, I do like keeping an eye on that because the Texans face the Bears in week 2, yep. Minnesota in week 3, they go New England in week 6.
Yep.
So the biggest thing I don't want the Texans to face a rookie quarterback in his first game because that's the Will Levis dynamic where teams don't exactly know what the game plan's going to be with that quarterback in the game, so it's hard to game plan for them. You don't know exactly how their offensive coordinator views that quarterback and everything. So there's an element of surprise and ambush quality there that you can't quite game plan for it. So that's where I'd rather have some of those guys start immediately week 1, so they've got some tendencies on it, or just maybe a loathsome backup is in there.
They get Caleb in week 2. Are you nervous about that, or does the 1 week make that big a difference for you?
I think the 1 week makes that big of a difference.
Okay, they play Tennessee in that week.
What's that?
They play Tennessee in that week. Does that matter? Yeah. Like that they play a team that's probably
Tennessee's defense can do some things.
They can? Okay.